The Chevron Rib Stitch. Hi, I'm Kristen and welcome back to Studio Knit. This Chevron Rib Stitch knitting pattern creates thick zigzag rows. It is an 8-row repeat and great for beginning knitters because we are using simply knit and purl knitting techniques. The wide ribbing of the Chevron Rib Stitch is a reversible pattern, meaning that both the right and the wrong, the front and the back sides of our work are identical. As a result, this is a great choice for knitting up scarves and blankets because it looks exactly the same no matter which side is facing out. For your materials, use any gauge yarn and appropriately sized knitting needles along with scissors and a tapestry needle. If you're interested in knitting up this pattern and would like to see more knit stitch patterns in the future, please like up this video, subscribe to my channel Studio Knit. You'll get notified for free every time I upload a new video, and liking it up really helps me out. As always, the written pattern is available for you totally for free over on my website, Studio Knit. It's also included in my knit stitch pattern book of 50 easy knit and purl stitch patterns. And since this is an 8-row repeat, you can find it right here in the table of contents. And you'll see in the book, we have a full photo along with a knitting chart. And the instructions are written out both flat on straight needles and in the round for circular. Make sure to keep watching to see me knit up the first 8 rows to see exactly how this design emerges. And just a quick knitting pattern chart lesson. You'll see 1 through 12. That means we are knitting 12 stitch repeat. You're casting on 12 stitches. And then you are going to knit rows 1 through 8 and repeat those 8 rows until your piece is the length that you desire. I have a great lesson detailing exactly how to read knitting charts if you are ready to tackle that next. So let's knit it up. We begin the Chevron Rib Stitch by casting on multiples of 12 stitches onto our needle. And in this example, I'm going to do 3 multiples of 12, and that's giving me 36 stitches total. And we are going to do a bit of an overview. There are lots of purls and lots of knits. Row 1, we are starting with purling 2, and then we are knitting 2. And you can see in the knitting pattern above, it is simply different repeats of purls and knits to make up this pattern. Those little stars right there, those are asterisks, and that means that you are knitting this pattern between those asterisks, and then you repeat it all the way down your knitting needle until the very final stitch. What do you think it is? The very last stitch on your needle will be a purl 1 stitch. And these add up to 12 stitches because we cast on in multiples of 12. So right there is our final little purl 1 stitch. Okay, and you continue knitting down row 1. Row 2, I want to tell you, for those of you who like knitting the knits and purling the purls on the wrong side of the work, this is a great pattern to be able to take your eyes off of the written pattern, because on the wrong side of our work, every even numbered row, we are knitting the knits and purling the purls. So when you see a purl on your needle, you purl it. Right here, the next one is a knit, so I'm going to knit that twice. And if what I'm talking about thoroughly confuses you, no worries, because the written pattern is available for you. All you have to do is follow the pattern all the way down the row until you get to the final stitch on your needle. And here we have row 3. We're beginning again with purling, and we have 2 knit stitches followed by 2 purl stitches. And this is where things get really exciting. We actually have knit 3. We are knitting 3 stitches in a row for the very first time in this pattern here. We've only been doing 1s and 2s. So you'll knit 3 stitches and continue on in pattern for these 12 stitches, and then repeat them until you get to the end of your row. Row 4 is again on the wrong side, and we can purl the purls. We have 2 purls right there, and then you can see that that is knitting 2, and you can just look at your work and follow along with what your actual knitting is telling you to do, rather than being so reliant on the pattern. Now, not all patterns are like this, but this pattern has the wrong side of the work identical to the front side of the work, and so it's really nice to just have a chance for half of the pattern not to have to actually follow along and be totally beholden to the written page. And after row 4, the exciting part is our milestone. We're halfway done. We can admire our work. The pattern, we can see that we have some rib stitches, but the chevron part isn't quite emerging yet. So let's keep it going. Row 5, we're knitting 2, we're purling 2, knit 2, etc. And at this point, you probably are completely ready to just go get that knitting pattern and give this a try yourself. My website always has these patterns available to you totally for free, and there's a little button where you can jump down to the knitting pattern, and there is a printable version. No ads, print on the page, and then you can actually save it and put it in a binder and be able to write on the pattern. I always like to do that. I like to sort of tick off my rows sometimes with a pen as I go along. And here on row 6, we again are purling the purls and knitting the knits in this 12 stitch repeat. Row 7 here, we have more knits and purls. Surprise, surprise. So I'll let this play for a little bit. I know that we are not knitting together, so there's really no need to have you sit there and watch me knit and purl every single little stitch, because we are coming up to row 8. And row 8 is knitting those knits, purling those purls, and getting ready to see our design emerge. So let's jump to that right now. And now we can see those zigzags of the chevron pattern emerging in our rib stitches right here, which is very cool. I think that this pattern really shows its beauty when you knit it as long as you'd like. It's really nice to see how everything interconnects so beautifully in this chevron rib stitch pattern. I hope you are inspired to give this stitch pattern a try. Please check out my knit stitch pattern book. First, we have the printed version. I also have a digital ebook version, and I'm offering a free sample. So 5 of the 50 patterns are available to everybody who has joined my email list. And if you haven't done that, I do have a link down below. You can join now and download your copy today. And I have so many other beautiful knit stitch patterns for you to enjoy, so please go check those out. And I will see you here at Studio Knit next time. Bye!